Welcome to Women, Men, and Relationships. I'm JJ Flazanes, your host, and thank you for downloading today's bonus episode. We're going to talk about understanding signs. I've got many of you in the Manifestation Challenge who are asking me about different signs, like water, for instance, having pipes break and things leak. And know that there are several resources that you can go to, one of which is the same company called Talking Hearts, I believe, that did the Messages from the Body book. They also have all kinds of other books on addictions and aversions, as well as a whole book that I don't have, by the way, on sort of why did that happen. So you can go to talkinghearts.net, I think is what it is, and they've got a book there on things like that. There are also resources on the web that you can look up the different meanings of things. There's also In Feng Shui, the show that we did with PK. A lot of Feng Shui books will also tell you what different elements mean and what they represent. So the first question that I had about water and what does it mean, and they seem to be aggravating, agitating things that are happening. Remember that when you manifest something, well, let me rephrase that. You're manifesting all the time. You're manifesting all the time. And what we have to remember is that what happens after something happens, because the something that's happening, whatever it may be, whether it be a kitchen sink leaking to a car accident, which I had recently, actually, and having, something happen. Know that the something that happened is in itself not positive or negative. It just is. What you interpret it to mean past that is where you're going to get your vibrational frequency and charge from. If you have a lot of things break down and you decide to get agitated about that because you think it means something bad, then most likely you're going to have a lower frequency. That frequency is going to feel bad, and then more stuff is probably going to show up and there's going to be more breakdown. So just remember, before you make something mean something, know you have an option of how to look at it. When you make peace with something, which is a very powerful law of attraction action, in my opinion. It's a very important skill to have, that when something happens, that we stop. And before we interpret or get triggered by it, if we can, we stop and think about the multiple possible meanings. I don't know if those of you have heard this story before. I told it at the last live event in January, where I was on a trip and I was meeting a whole bunch of new people, and there were people there that I wanted to have a relationship with that I didn't have a very strong relationship with. So I wasn't sure how to interpret some of the behaviors. So the exact scenario was I was in, let's say, like a cabin situation, and I was in a kitchen. And in that kitchen were two sort of younger girls, younger than me, and then an older woman. And we were all going to be there at this camp for a couple of days. And the two girls asked and discussed with each other out loud about going for a run. In fact, the older one asked the younger one, hey, do you want to go for a run with me tomorrow? Now, there's no one else in the room besides me and this much older woman. And they weren't talking to the much older woman. And I was sitting there. So in this moment, I literally had the neutral space because it wasn't a trigger or trauma, so I didn't get immediately agitated. I actually had time to breathe for a half a second and think to myself, how do I interpret that? I didn't want to make assumptions right away, which is what a lot of us do. We make assumptions. And I waited. I thought, okay, this could go in a couple different ways. I'm going to wait and see how else things unfold. Later that week, other things had happened that led me to believe that initial situation was negative. I thought, one choice was maybe she didn't want me to go with them because she thought I'd be faster than them. Maybe people assume I'm like super athletic because I'm a personal trainer. And while I have athletic abilities and while I'm fit to a certain degree, I'm not an athlete at heart. I'm not playing a sport every week, and I'm not necessarily have the skills for all kinds of sports. I can learn and I can adapt quickly, but I'm not necessarily like the strongest, fastest, whatever in every area. So maybe one option was that I'm too fast for them and they don't want me to go. The other option is I'm too slow for them and they don't want me to go. The other option is that they just don't want me to go. And I didn't ask. And this is a situation where I would recommend, if there's someone else involved, especially if you're not triggered yet, ask, hey, just curious. How come I didn't get invited? And then you put them on the spot, and it's a vulnerable position for you to be in, but the power comes from not being attached to the answer. And in retrospect, I would have loved to have said, hey, just out of curiosity, you didn't invite me, and I'm just wondering why. But because I did have some attachment to being vulnerable or to being liked or to having a connection, and I had a desire to have a stronger connection with this person, I just waited. And then I found out later, and I had a suspicion that she just didn't like me. She was threatened by me. She has judgment about me. She got mad at me, whatever. Okay. But here's a perfect situation. If it could have been something positive, it could have been that she didn't even know. But too many times we fill in the blanks with our own story or our projected story about what someone else you think might say, but it's all made up. So that's a situation in the case where something happens, and I want everyone who's listening to this to remember that whatever it is that's happened has an observation point of view. There's a situation, either somebody said something to someone or something happened or somebody did something. When we can boil it down to just the observation of the thing or of the situation, there's no emotion yet. The emotion comes when you attach a meaning to it. So, in the case of everybody on the Manifestation Challenge asking about water and things breaking down, water represents the subconscious. It also represents purification, and it can represent psychic powers. So let's just go over those three. The subconscious, if you look at it as subconscious. So for me, I had a car accident maybe 2 months ago, and I wasn't clear about why I had it because it was my fault, and I wasn't really sure why it all happened yet. No one got very injured. There was a woman who in front of me, and she got a little banged up, but because she got thrown into her steering wheel. But nobody else was hurt, and the front guy, his car just got scratched a little bit, so I think that was fine. And my car actually wasn't that bad, except that they had to. The value of the car was less than the repairs on it. So the insurance company actually wanted to total it and claim it totaled and have me just give it back to them, which was terribly inconvenient because it meant I had to buy a new car. And I wasn't necessarily financially in the place to buy a new car. That's not on my budget. I have this event in September coming up. I've got a ton of travel. I have things that we're doing here at the house. I've got investments that I'm making in different programs and products that I want to put together. So a new car was not there, and my old car was just fine. There was nothing wrong with the old car. It just had a little bit of a dent in it. So here I am in this situation, and it kind of went up and down. It went up with the positives and down with the negatives. And then it wasn't until I went to the place where they were holding it to take all the stuff out of it that I became clear as to why it happened. Now, that's a car. It's not water. But in terms of, I want to link this, in terms of subconscious, when my husband moved out, it was around the same time, or he was getting ready to move out. And because I'm still in the same house and I have a lot of the same stuff and I'm having not similar routine, but really nothing else is changing for me, there needed to be a purification in some way. And so that car was the last connection, besides the house, which has been changed a little bit now that Doug is here. And I've changed other things, rearranged things, had new things, got rid of things. But it was a purification. And I was super clear about it when I pulled everything out of it. So that became a necessary part of this transition in my relationship and in my life, that I have a bunch of new things with new energy that don't have old memories, that I'm not attaching things to, that I don't look at a scratch and remember when that happened and get connected to that. So it took a couple weeks, but I finally got real clear about the reason. So back to water. Water being subconscious. Water representing the things that you aren't aware of. Remember, your conscious mind is 12% and your subconscious mind is 88%. You're mostly aware of your conscious mind because you can hear those thoughts. What you may not be aware of is the 88% of your mind that's subconscious. All of those patterns, those beliefs, all the things that you don't even know are there, things that you don't even realize you believe. And I've done a couple of shows about these things. Of course, if you haven't listened to all of them, then you may not remember, but it's a lot of the work we're going to do about unconscious and subconscious beliefs in September with some NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and reprogramming some of these belief systems. But you have subconscious beliefs you may not even realize are there. I mean, I've still been discovering some of them. Back in 2012, I took my mother to Jamaica. And right before that had happened, I had had a situation at the house and I had a response to it. And I had a session with my therapist at the time. And she pointed out that it was something that felt like a lack of confidence in me and like an insecurity. And when she said it, it resonated, but I didn't know where it came from. And it wasn't until I went to vacation with my mother that I saw it in her. I knew it wasn't mine, but it was in me. And that's one of the points that I want to make about the work we're going to do, both, and you can only get it. You're only going to get it if you come to the event or buy the live ticket. But Lisa Thomas does inherited emotional DNA clearing. So here's a situation where I have a habit and a pattern from my mother that I'm not even aware rules my life in some ways. And the only way I'm going to really clear it, I'm going to work with Lisa to clear it, but there's an awareness that has to come up first to know that it's there or not. I mean, we're going to clear things probably every day at the event. And when you get the virtual ticket, you can actually clear them too. We're going to be clearing things every day at the event. And as long as you're either there or buying the virtual ticket, when you do the study course at home and go through the clearing, you actually will clear it as well. So even though we're doing it in person, energy is energy, and Lisa works with people on the phone. So it's like a phone call. You will be cleared when you go through the energy watching the video from the virtual ticket. So here's a situation where subconsciously, I didn't know I had that, but it came up, I saw it, I recognized it, and then I worked on clearing it. So the water could mean subconscious. So go back and look at the different areas of your life where, and this situation of water is specifically for some of my participants in the manifestation challenge, but this could apply to anybody, any kind of water issues, subconscious mind, purification, right? So I could have looked at my car, which is not water, but I could have looked at my car as purification as well. So it was purifying my new relationship. It was purifying the new phase in my life. Okay. And subconscious is going to come up to show you where something is, maybe there's a hole in something and what that thing represents to you and why. And then the last one for water is psychic powers. And psychic powers, I would say that if something keeps reoccurring for you, it's trying to send you a message to pay attention. And maybe whatever that may be, it doesn't have to be water, but in the case of signs, if something just keeps happening over and over again, first of all, it's either a subconscious, unconscious belief that you have that you do not recognize, you keep manifesting. But the point is, you do manifest it, and it keeps happening because it's showing you what you believe. So the question becomes, what do you believe? And the next question becomes, how can you change what you believe? And how can you clear it? And how can you replace it? And we talk a lot about the information on the show, how to do something, why to do something, what to do about it. But that is why I had to make events, guys. I had to make events because I'm educating you on information, but you're not necessarily taking that information and living it. You're not doing it. You're not getting, because you understand you have subconscious beliefs doesn't mean you're identifying yours or clearing them. Even if you try, I'm going to say that the likelihood that you're doing it on your own, like really well, is probably less than 50%. Some of you will be, but the majority of you won't. You're learning about these things to make sense of your life, but that doesn't mean it's changing your life. Some of it will, but there's a certain endpoint for conscious thinking. There's an endpoint for information. At some point, that information has to be immersed in your body and in your cells and in the doing, because the concept alone is not enough. And so that is why it's not even because it has nothing to do with business even. It's not about, JJ wants to have another product to sell or make money. No, it's because I'm so interested in actually having you make these breakthroughs. I hear over and over again the questions about how about this and why this, and that's why we do the challenge. The challenge is about doing. It's about taking the meditation process and the manifestation process and actually doing it. But that's only 5 or 10 or 20 minutes of one subject matter. It's the tip of the iceberg. It's not enough. Now, it may be enough for you right now. You may be telling yourself it's fine. But here are some areas that we're going to focus on that I want to just make sure you're clear that you're okay with keeping, because that is, again, why. And for a lot of you, you can do the virtual ticket. There's no reason why. It's why I made it, so that the information wasn't about you had to come to California. You can live anywhere in the world and still get the information and the processes. You just have to do it. You get the ticket. Afterwards, you're going to get the videos, and then you're going to make yourself go through the process. And you can have accountability with somebody, a spouse, a friend, or just with me, because you get 3 months of accountability when you get this product in this program. So the next big step has accountability in it already built in. So it's built into the prices. You're not going to pay any more for extra accountability from me with this virtual ticket. So you're going to do it. And even if you don't do the whole thing before the first check-in, the check-in will force you to do part of it to actually get the actual process. So the things we're going to focus on are the relationship patterns that you have. Are you tired of manifesting the same person over and over again, or the same fight over and over again, or the same lack of love or lack of sex or lack of passion or miscommunication? We're going to do a lot of relationship work. Of course, we're going to do law of attraction work. That's not even an issue. And of course, there'll be an astrology piece, because there has to be. And another big part is the communication piece. So in order to understand how to communicate better with others and to get what we want from others, we have to understand what we want and what we need. We're going to do the clearing of inherited emotional DNA. Lisa Thomas is going to do several sessions throughout the weekend from Thursday to Sunday, where we're going to feel what's in the room, and we're going to clear it. Every day, there's going to be a clearing. And then you're going to learn about clearing emotional DNA, as well as how to muscle test yourself. We're also going to be increasing your capacity for abundance. Melanie Benson's coming to do money, and it's both money mindset, money emotional things, as well as structural things. So don't even tell me that you don't need these things. I know you do. I made these events for you. That is why I'm doing this. Can I sell you products and books and work with people one-on-one, and I'm creating another product on the side that has nothing to do with any of this? It's a food product. Can I focus on that right now? I can. But I know you want transformation. You wouldn't listen to me if you didn't want change and you didn't want real change. So I just invite you to, if nothing else, get a virtual ticket. Get a virtual ticket, get to be a part of the community and get your accountability. Stop making excuses for why you can't. There's no reason. It's less money than 2 or 3 therapy sessions. So if you're someone who even goes to therapy, but it's going to be better than therapy because of what it's going to cover, and it's going to hold your feet to the fire to actually make these changes. So when you look at signs in your life, what are they pointing to? In fact, one of the ladies that came to the January Releasing What Weighs You Down said that she just couldn't deny the signs anymore. She's like, I'm here because I just kept getting signs that I had to be here. So she signed up because the universe was telling her she had to be there. Because lessons will be repeated until they're learned. And you can only ignore them for so long until you can't ignore them any longer. And if you've done your astrology and you know your moon sign, those of you that are Virgo moons, if you're a Virgo moon, don't worry about it. Forget it. Move on. You're not going to do it. Sorry. You're not going to do it. And what's going to happen to you is you're going to manifest some big thing that forces you to grow, whether it be it'll most likely be bad and negative, like cancer or a car accident or something. Something will happen because that's what Virgo moons do. They don't want to move. So if you're a Virgo moon, forget everything I just said about the event. Everybody else, come on and buy your virtual ticket. And I will even make you another special offer that today is the 23rd of August. If you buy your ticket before September 1st, and either one, you can buy the live ticket or the virtual ticket, I will gift you the virtual ticket for Releasing What Weighs You Down. And you can get started now going through that event. And so you don't have to wait till the end of September or beginning of October for the next big step. You can start now. And some of the things I talked about are in that. Things from chakra and eating to help clear your chakras, from Lisa doing the inherited emotional DNA and having several clearings on the videos. So, and Allison Melody did a perfect inner child work. Oh my God, it was so powerful. So if you actually really want to do the work is really what it comes down to, because listening to me is lovely. And I know that it inspires you because you stay here and you keep sharing it. And I really appreciate you for that. But I didn't make this event just because I needed to do something else. Trust me, it's a lot of work. I did it because I know you want change. And what I know for a fact, for sure, is that even if you work with me one-on-one, you still cannot get the immersion you get when you are in a room or when you have all of these segments and sessions back to back and in person, and or in a situation where you're being held to complete all these different trainings. Okay. And also all the work. It's not about lecture. You're not going to sit and listen to a lecture. If you're getting the virtual ticket, you're going to hear part of the information, and then you're going to be doing, because it's about integrating it into your body so you have change. So to recap on the whole signs thing, this conversation is way bigger than just water, but I wanted to address it for those of you on the challenge and to let you know that the universe is giving you signs, and you can call it the universe or God or whoever or yourself, your higher self, wants you to move. And if you look around and take the hint that something's got to give, and you listen and you take action on it, then there's a chance you'll learn the lesson, and then you'll get the benefit that you want, and then you'll move on. There'll be another lesson, of course. But it's when you keep repeating it over and over and over, and it keeps showing up in the same way or in different ways. That's when it starts to get like the universe is saying like, hello. And what happens is it snowballs and it gets bigger and bigger until you can't deny it anymore. And until you're in a next to impossible situation, which you may need. You may need to have everybody yelling and screaming at you for you to actually take action. So assess what you need, figure out who you are. I'm the person who sees it coming and says, oh, I don't want to go down that path. I don't want it to get any worse than this. So I'm going to go take care of it. And that is why I'm here to support your total mind, body, soul growth. So have a wonderful weekend. Remember, the offer currently is if you buy your ticket before September 1st, I will throw in the Releasing What Weighs You Down virtual ticket so you can start tomorrow or whenever you sign up to start getting these clearings, because Lisa did clear scarcity back in January. So if you have a money thing, she will clear scarcity, and you can do it over and over and over. I invite you to take action. I love you. I want the best for you. I want you to take all these shows that you listen to and actually get the most out of it. Not just be inspired and think, oh, that feels good. JJ just speaks my language. That feels good. I want you to see it show up in your life for you in a real and meaningful way. All right. Have a great weekend, and I'll meet you back here next Tuesday. Thank you for listening to today's episode, and I just want to remind you we have very limited spots left for the next big step. Come on over to jjflizanes.com/next big step to get your live ticket or your virtual ticket if you can't make it to LA, so you can get all the same information in the comfort of your own home. jjflizanes.com/next big step.